Hey, hello, everybody. Welcome back to today's live show from Master Visionary Coaching. You need to pay attention today for a couple of reasons. One, I'm going to be giving a special offer today in this show, and only today in this show, that if you've ever wanted to make some changes and create some successful outcomes and accomplish and achieve some goals, you really want to hear this offer. I'm also going to share some information with you today that will help anybody who's starting out on some new venture. So, when we start out on a new venture, there are pitfalls, and success isn't guaranteed. Unless you understand and address the most important piece for being successful, you're most likely doomed to fail. And today I'm going to share the number one thing that everyone ignores or just doesn't know. Now, when I say starting out on a new venture, maybe it's a business. Maybe it's a revamp or a tweak of your business. Maybe it's a personal goal, a new venture, something different and new for you that you're looking to achieve, succeed, and accomplish. So, what we're going to go over is the one thing that is the crucial thing that most people are overlooking, not using, and yet without it, you're already at a deficit. Now, I also want to invite you to come over to mastervisionary.com if you're not here on the website watching this right now, so you can interact. You can ask some questions, you can make some comments, and you probably will have a thought and then lose it later. So come on over live and let's get together. I want to ask you a question. What blocks and limits successful outcomes in achieving goals? Now, a lot of people have a lot of different answers. It could be doubt, lack of confidence, low self-esteem, lack of direction, just not knowing what to do, and misdirection. Somebody saying, here's what you should be doing, and it's not. Lack of knowledge, and also an accumulation of stress, the buildup of all the energy that's negative emotion that actually creates a block, and also beliefs. But the question is, does any of this sound familiar to you? Does any of this ring true for you? There's a word that all of this can come into play, and it's a word that most people have thought as trivial or just beaten and overused, and it's mindset. You see, it's the way we think. The problem is most thought patterns are repeated from earlier in life. When a same or similar situation ever comes up in life, what happens is the mind resorts to that experience, and then we act like we did then. Have you ever said to somebody, it was unbelievable? It was like I was 5. I mean, I acted like, I don't know, like I was 7 or 8, because you became that age again by tapping into a pattern that's stored in your mind, and then it got triggered. Whenever you say, but I knew better, when you know better and you still do something else, this is everything that's in here getting in the way. It's holding you hostage. What was is holding what is and what could be hostage. You see? But there are ways to find the key to undo the shackle, to remove the invisible wall. It's what we call the past, or what was. So why is what was, that's over, affecting us now? It's because it's not addressed, it's not dealt with, or you're not even aware that this is where everything begins. Think about that invisible wall. Think about a thought that you have of what you want to do, need to do, and you know will be beneficial and helpful, but yet for whatever reason or reasons, as we say, you can't get out of your own way. Keep this phrase in mind, folks. This is one tip in today's show that will help you out tremendously. The thought is more overwhelming than the task. Because every time you procrastinated and then did something, you thought, well, it wasn't such a big deal. The thought is more overwhelming than the task. There's a hello. So, hey, V, how you doing? As I said last time on the show, it's so much easier for me to just say V because the thing I don't like is mispronouncing a name and it feels awkward. But thanks for being here. So here's the deal, folks. Everything is an inner game. Jack Nicklaus, the great golfer, had once said, golf's a game of inches, and the most important 7 are between your ears. So life is like the golf game. The thing that people overlook, don't understand, are held hostage by, limited by, is what's in here. But most people, and maybe you said this, say, oh, I don't go there. It's because you don't know how to manage those thoughts and feelings. So what most people do is they avoid, they ignore, they're distracted with unhealthy behaviors, or what you think is a healthy behavior, like being busy. But a lot of people are just being busy as a distraction when all that busyness isn't creating any kind of outcome, achievement, accomplishment. So until we get to the point where we understand that everything in life is an inner experience, everything that will happen outside of you has to happen internally first. There's a saying, if you can't see where you're going, your mind won't know how to get there. Okay? So the first thing we need to do is realize that the thoughts that we have when managed properly have massive power. But when not managed properly, that massive power works against us. And that's what we call getting in your own way. So we need to be able to learn the techniques, the strategies, the processes that are absolutely easy, comfortable, and less challenging than you could ever imagine. Because it's like anything. Let's say I gave you a key. Okay? You're shackled. You're being held hostage. You want to unlock the lock. But if you don't know how to use the key, you can't unlock the lock. You might put the key sideways in the lock, or you might not even look at the hole. You're looking at some other part of the shackle or chain. It could be that you put it in, it's upside down. You think this doesn't work. Keys work when you know how to use them. The processes, the techniques, and all the tools that are available are how we manage what's going on in here in order to manage what happens out here. This is the most crucial part to understand. Any venture, any goal, anything you're looking to achieve in the form of a successful outcome, whether it's personal, especially in business, is always going to be impeded or blocked until you find the key and how to use it to unlock what's holding you hostage and holding you back. So as you're hearing this, go ahead and type in any comment as to what you've experienced of being held back, feeling shackled, feeling held hostage, feeling as if you know, but you just can't get there. Share that with me and we'll talk about it. Let me help you out now while we have the time. So truly, the ways to remove those blocks and enhance your time and effort, because most people are putting in the time and the effort, they're just getting no ROI. There's no return on the investment of this time and effort. And even some finances that you're putting into whatever you're doing. So it's all an inner game. The power is here, but I don't mean your brain. Let me share something that most people do incorrectly. And this is using the key the wrong way, trying to jam it in there and force it in there. When most people get internal, what they do is they're working here up on the surface. They're using the brain, and the brain can only use logic. We don't analyze our way to figuring it out. Have you ever heard the phrase, ask and you'll receive? The answers are within? Not figure it out, analyze it, Overthink it. Well, overthinking is the art and skill of creating problems where there were none, right? So it's a matter of sitting with self and learning how to use this key in order to open doors where there's information, in order to open doors where there's the confidence you were born with, in order to release some of the things that are stored, because some of those keys will open doors that need to be opened to let things out. So the problem is most people don't understand it starts within the thoughts and the feelings that you're not managing because you haven't learned how. And then it's learning the processes and techniques and when and how to apply them. Okay. So we need to basically, as we've heard, get out of our own way. And this is how we do it. One of the other important parts is people want to keep moving forward and keep moving forward and keep moving forward when sometimes we need to step back first. You know, an arrow can't reach its destination until it's pulled back. You throw something, your arm goes backward, but we're throwing it forward. Well, you have to go back before you can go forward. So it's 2 steps back for 5 steps forward. And a lot of people don't want to take that time. But imagine a week, 2 weeks, 3 months, 5 months, 6 months later, and you're still stuck 3 years, 5 years later, right? And you're thinking, if I had only taken that time. We're talking about a short amount of time to revamp, readjust, restructure, remanage, and then move forward in a much better way. So how do we create success or successful outcomes or achievements, or accomplishments with less effort and energy? Well, I've already just talked about it. See, the truth is, all of our energy that we wake up every day with an X amount of energy, think about it as a bank account. Every time you use thought and feeling, you're writing a check. And imagine how many thoughts and feelings are going on and you're getting no return on that investment. Okay. So what happens is we start to apply, we take action. It isn't working because you're using the same broken model that you've been using all along because it's the only one you know. Willpower, force, struggle, conscious thinking. If we were scientists, we'd be horrible at it because a scientist does an experiment, and when things don't work, they find something else. So when we realize that life is nothing more than experimenting, experiencing, life is trial and error. That's all it is. So one of the things that has to happen in here is we get comfortable with what you refer to as failure, but is just trial and error. So we need to apply something in order to find out if it's going to work for us. And then if it doesn't, find out another way. But most people won't take that strategy because of their ego, because of their insecurity, because of the perception of others. You know, there's a technical term in a few different books, and it's called the FU attitude. Or, without any language, it's this. When other people comment, when other people tell you what you should do and how you should do it, and look, you didn't do it. So again, you just need to shrug that stuff off. Because it's like that phrase, people who mind don't matter, and people who matter don't mind. And the people who talk are going to talk anyway. So this is one of the components, one of the pieces of the puzzle of creating a whole different mindset, a whole different inner game. It's inner engineering in order to move forward in a much more productive and successful way. Okay. Michelle, how you doing? Michelle says trial and error gets a bad rap. You know, I believe it was, let's see, Mr. Leach in Everett High School, Massachusetts, and my sociology course that told us about the scientific method, trial and error. It's the scientific method. So trial and error, or what I like to say is fail forward fast. And I'm going to use an example that's me. I created this whole new revamped, restructured approach to my master visionary coaching. Put it out there, because if you don't put it out there, you'll never know if it's going to work or not, or what needs to be tweaked, improved, changed, removed. Well, in the course of the last 4-ish weeks, 6 weeks or so, I'm finding changes and adjustments that need to happen in order for what I'm releasing, what I'm doing now, to be improved. Okay. You see, there is no failure here. The only failure, hold on, get a pen and paper, tattoo this on the back of your eyelids. The only failure is in doing nothing. The only failure is in doing nothing. Because if you do nothing, it's a massive failure. However, when you take action, when you apply, when you put into action that which you're working on, thinking about, then you have progress. You can't have progress until you have something in action. For instance, imagine that you're a speaker or a musician or whatever, and you practice and you practice and you practice, and you say, no, it's not good enough. Well, I know as a working musician my whole life, well, not my whole life, but 45 years. I started playing the club circuit when I was 15 and even younger. Actually, I was playing gigs. You can't get better until you put out there what it is that you do. And you can sit in a rehearsal room for 4 years and then go out there live in different conditions, and it's all different. So the sooner you put whatever it is you're contemplating, whatever change you want to make, whatever new venture, whatever business, whatever it is, until you think about it and then you know that you're ready to launch it, put it out there, you can't have progress. And again, why don't we do it? Because of mind, not so much brain, but mind, the energetic emotional self. Okay. What also happens is we get to this point of not knowing a way, and also the worst part, not looking for assistance and guidance. It's like I tell people, why did Larry Bird and Michael Jordan and Magic Johnson and Wayne Gretzky have a coach? Those people were great. But the coach sees what they can't see. The coach is watching and can see things what they can't see. So even coaches, a good coach will have a coach because we don't know everything. We always want to progress. But what happens is when we're stuck in that hostage situation, stress starts to accumulate. It gets bigger and bigger, and worry. Now, let me share something about the word worry. Worry is putting holes in your boat. Worry is nothing more than an energetic drain. So I urge you to change worry to concern. So I worry about nothing. I just know that things can happen, but when they do, so what? What now? How are we going to go about it? How are we going to go from the moment we're in to something better? How are we going to use the energy that we have and not write some checks that won't give us any return, because that's what worry is, but concern just brings your attention to the matter, you see? So when you are concerned, you're like, okay, this needs to be addressed. And then you find assistance in ways to make it better. It's not a real big deal when you understand the process behind it all, but it's a big deal when you say stuck, frustrated, stressed, tense, and then you're blocked. You are holding yourself hostage in this regard. When in the beginning, the hostage situation is what was, everything you've already experienced, be it your own thoughts, what other people have said, your own experiences that you're unable to release and let go of, that are just holding you back. Okay? So we need new strategies. to boost achieving. We need new strategies to reach your goals. And what sets us free isn't new. It's been written about and talked about throughout time in all cultures. But we've become detached from these timeless practices, and the evidence and proof is that it's not working. What you're doing right now is proof and evidence that it's just not working. But that which we've disregarded, that which we've become detached to, the timeless and even ancient practices have never changed. They've always been there, and they are the foundation to become empowered in a way that you'll become successful almost as a habit. So the strategy I'm talking about that isn't working is seeking outside of ourselves. You know, it gets frustrating sometimes, I got to tell you. But the truth is, most people are looking outside themselves and the answers are not there. And I'm going to share with you how we find those answers once we take this commercial break. And also, when we come back from this commercial break, I'm going to give you the first bit of this incredible offer to all of you watching now. I'll see you in a minute.
Are you a CEO or an executive suffering from unbearable stress? Do you feel like you're burning out and your leadership skills are suffering? There's good news. You're only 12 weeks away from turning it all around. The Master Visionary Coaching Program gives you all the resources to do so with less effort than it takes to load your groceries into your car. The Master Visionary Coaching Program is by application only. Apply now at mastervisionary.com.
Well, all right. Welcome back, folks. So first, before we get into some of these strategies, some of these effective tools to start using the power within, I'm actually excited about this, and I wanted to tell you earlier, but I figured I'd just wait a little bit. The special offer that I have right now, I've recently released to my inner circle, people that I've worked with throughout my career, and the people that have been a part of all the work that I've done in the way of changing their lives by learning what I'm sharing with you, and then so much more. There's a 12-week program that I want you to go look at mastervisionary.com, and then click services up on the top of the page, on the home page. You will see everything in a 12-week program, and I'm offering anyone who emails me at tomnicoli@gmail.com, tomnicoli@gmail.com, and in the subject line, write half off. Now, what do you think that means? I think you're smart enough to figure it out. It means that I'm doing something that's very, very irregular. And the reason why I'm doing it is because I truly do this work for the right reasons. I know how effective, how impactful, how helpful, how life-changing the work that I and other people like me do. I've seen it for 20 years with people in 75 countries. I've been blessed in this way in my career. And because times are a little more challenging than they've been in a long time, because people need help and they also need a break financially, this is a very significant offer. It's not just 10% off, save yourself $5. No. If you're truly serious about achieving business goals, setting out on a new venture, personal goals, becoming a better version of yourself, then email me at tomnicoli.com and just put in half off. And when we can get on a call, and I'll share with you more that's in the program, how I could possibly help you. And if I don't think that you're a good fit or I'm a good fit, I'll let you know. But half off. You'll never hear this again. Okay? So let's get back to strategies and processes and techniques. Okay. We need to leverage a resource that we've always had but didn't know. We were born with it. We refer to it as different things, but let's just say your mind. Okay. First, I need you to understand something. There aren't many people who have original thoughts, original behaviors, or original speech patterns. Here's what I mean by that. Let's say you're with a group of people and something comes up, and then a person says something, and you say, every time this comes up, you say the same thing. And they say, no, I don't. And the other people say, yeah, you do. Because what happens is we gather information, we have a way of acting, a way of speaking, we have patterns, we have habits. Most people, almost all people, pull from what's already in there and just regurgitate habitually, okay? So what we need to do is start realizing that we need to have what's called pattern interruption. We need to start changing the patterns that have been stored that are just being repeated, okay? When you're in your logical brain, you're only going to have that as a resource. However, there's a reason why Einstein had said, imagination is more important than knowledge. Instead of thinking, you wonder, you ponder. The genie said, your wish is my command. Ask and you'll receive. The answers are within. It doesn't say the answers are out here, the answers are that person, the answers are that person, the answer is in that book. Yeah, there's information and knowledge that we can gain and help us, but that's not where the greatest direction and information lies. It's here when we ask and we get out of the way and we start having ideas. You know, like people say, I don't know, it just popped into my head or it came out of the blue. It's because you set an intention of a question and then you got out of the way and you allowed it to flow. Okay. So if what has been happening worked, you'd have no problem. You'd have no issue. But very rarely does force and struggle and willpower get you somewhere and then maintain it. Now, if you're fortunate enough for that to work, it's not as fun as it could be. It's taking more effort, more energy, more time, more exhaustion, more of everything. But imagine if in much less time, with much less effort, with much less energy and emotion, you can get the same or better results. That's what Master Visionary helps you to do. So this natural interaction, this inner engineering, these mind tools, visualization, unfortunately, has become one of those container words, yet it packs a lot of power. So let me look at that for a moment with you. Let me explain something. Anything you've done, not anything, but most things you've done, there's pre-thought, right? Especially if it's going out somewhere or going on a vacation. So it's not, okay, at 8 o'clock, we're going to the movie. Or 8 o'clock, better yet, we're going to an event. All right. I'm sure you didn't sit around till 8 o'clock, and once 8 o'clock hit, you're like, okay, let's go. You probably thought about what you're going to wear. You thought about, well, when should I start getting prepared? Maybe jump into the shower and get my clothes ready. And then when should we leave to get there on time? So there's this pre-thought, and what's happening is you're creating a mind map. You're creating this vision of what's to follow. Okay? Whether you realize it or not, whatever you were envisioning will usually play out. When I'm in bed at night, and especially when I had offices in New Hampshire and Massachusetts, I would lie down in bed at night and I'd go through my walk-in closet and I would already know what I'm going to wear the next day. Now, there were times when in the morning I'd took that suit out. It was always a suit and tie, and whatever shoes I would wear. And then what would happen is that I'd be in the shower thinking, nah, I'm going to wear this. Before I left the house, I would take off whatever I secondarily decided to wear and end up wearing what I had thought the night before because my mind was already geared toward it. It's running the show. It's the hard drive. Your conscious thinking mind is just the keyboard. So we want to get those messages, those commands, those desires, those hopes and goals. We want to get those to have some connection, some impact with the part that's running the show. So visualizing is powerful. Now, I'm not saying this is like what a lot of people think of the law of attraction is all about. I'm just going to imagine things. I'm just going to picture stuff and it will show up. No, it doesn't work like that. That's just bullshit, quite frankly. Okay. You don't just sit around and imagine things and they show up. There's actually a specific way to visualize in order for it to have much more impact and to have this manifestation outcome, this physical outcome that we call manifesting. But all things we do are preceded by a thought, unless you're caught off guard spontaneously and you just react to something. So when we visualize, this is one of the tools, but in my work, there are 6 vital keys that must be applied to the visualizing in order for it to have effect and impact, okay? I'm just looking at the time so I can get this information in without running out of time. So again, if you can't see where you're going, you won't know how to get there. Your mind just won't know how to get there. Your wish is my command. So we're showing it, this is what I desire. This is what will be. Not what I hope for, but what will be. And when it's done the proper way with the 6 vital keys, it's remarkable. Absolutely remarkable. And I can tell you that I only share what I have found works because I've experienced it. Or I would say, well, so-and-so or all these people said this is what happened with them. But I've applied this in my career, and it's allowed me to have tremendous time freedom because I don't care how much you're earning and generating if you don't have the time to experience it. You know, that really brings up a quick point. I remember I had been in Paris. It was a sheikh from Dubai who flew me over to do some session work with him before he went to Switzerland. So I go to Paris and I come back and I get dropped off and I go down the driveway and around the walkway to the pool area. And my ex was there with her brother and sister-in-law, which is fine, which is great. I want them to enjoy the place. But I thought, wait a minute. I need to be here more often. Why can't I be here on a Tuesday afternoon? Why can't I be here on a Thursday, Friday, and Monday afternoon? So I started finding ways to stop grinding because I was conditioned. My what was holding me hostage that when you work, you get paid. No, there are people who aren't working at all getting paid. It's called passive income. Hard work and knowledge isn't as powerful as attitude. And attitude is mindset. So I went from working, which back in 2003, 2004, was 7 15-hour days, 1 hour sessions, 15 a day. Then I cut back and did 6 days, but I was still grinding and working. I was making a tremendous income compared to how I grew up, and I thought I had made it. But no, because I wasn't able to enjoy it. So you see, what we want to do also is free ourselves up to learn these techniques, learn these processes, learn these systems that start here. There are systems that were there universally, naturally at birth, but we need a user's guide, and we don't come with a user's guide. But the information of what that user guide is has been around for a long time. Hey, reminder, email me, tomnicoli@gmail.com, and in the subject line put 50% off if you're serious and you're not playing at this about creating some success for yourself, whether it be personal or in business. So we were born with what we need. End of story. We were born with it. It just needed to be accessed and nurtured. You just haven't learned how to access it and put it into action. You see? So we have everything we need. The problem is you don't know this, and you've been looking out here for everything. So you read another book, you go to another class, you go to another seminar. But because this hasn't been addressed, what you learned in that book, what you learned in that seminar wasn't applied. You know, I've taught a lot of workshops and seminars in different, I think 5, 6, 7 countries now. And I tell people this all the time, and I'm going to tell you this. You're learning some things right now. There's a statistic that shows when people leave a seminar, workshop, a class, they don't do what they learned. So what I say to people, please prove us wrong and apply what you learned. Because if you don't apply what you learned in that one class, that 1 hour, that one day, that week, how do you know what to learn next? So you see, there's issue. There are problems. There are, I don't know, let's just call them some misfunction going on here because you haven't learned how to go in and access your inner power, how to apply it, and then how to watch these results that will happen with much less effort, much less energy, and to free yourself with that key that goes in and turns that lock because you learned how. But without it, it's going to be the same struggle. I know because I've done it. So how did those 107 hours a week or 90 hours a week, you think you work a lot? We shouldn't have to. To the point now, I mean, we're fast forwarding a lot of years, but presently, I can't tell you the last time that I worked 20 hours in a week. I think of it now and I think, damn, where's all my free time? I apply myself, I help people, but I've been able to learn more systems and processes in how to harness the power here to come up with better ways to do what I do, with better systems and programs for people, and to yet do it all smarter than harder. So that's another phrase that this all really boils down to, isn't it? Do you want to do it harder? Or do you want to do it smarter? The person who understands passive income, the person who is getting checks in the mail, the person who's getting emails from people that want to, use their product or services, didn't have to go out there and find those people. When you have the proper system, you have the proper techniques, starting with mind and then action, you're going to see results that you haven't seen before. Because the reason why I started Master Visionary, quite frankly, and why that name, I mean, think about it. Is it me saying I'm a Master Visionary? No. We were born as a Master Visionary. As Zig Ziglar once wrote in one of his books on page 1, I am from the source of greatness. Therefore, I am great. Or let's say there's greatness within, called potential. Exactly. We were born as Master Visionaries. So my work is to help you tap back into and reconnect to the Master Visionary you are. Because what we become is not who we are. What we become is an accumulation, mostly of what other people said, or perceptions from a younger version of ourselves that weren't aware enough. So we become something. This is nurture over nature, correct? But the nature of self is great. The nature of self has something that's brilliant. You have an ability, you have a part of yourself. You have more than you know that's more than that word potential. So let me see. We have a message here. No note. On tempo, everyone needs metrics. Musicians also know the practice develop those skills. Everyone can practice. And this is true. So let's talk about musicians practicing, right? And this is a very good point. So thank you for making this point. What I'm talking about when we access, when we apply, when we reconnect, we're practicing being who we really can be, being who we really are. We're practicing how to use that thing called potential. We're practicing through these, practices, using techniques and systems and processes. We're practicing how to be the best version of ourselves. That's another thing that I learned along the way. And that is, I wanted to be different. Okay? I'm a natural redhead. I don't get tanned. My freckles just get darker. And I used to have insecurities about it. I've been bullied about being called a redhead and redhead pee to bed and wipe it up with gingerbread. I mean, come on, some crazy shit, right? But along in my 20s, it was when I was with a rock band and I was on tour. Armed Forces was the name of the band. Go to YouTube and type in my name and Armed Forces, you'll see it. I realized that everyone's just different and there's only one of me. And my job is to be the best version of me that I can be. However, just like being a musician at whatever level of talent that I'm at, a skill set, I practiced. It's been 50 years now, and I've practiced a lot, right? Well, we need to practice a skill set in order for it to become natural and habitual. Though we still practice, we don't need to do it as much as before. We just need to maintain. So getting to the top of the mountain is one thing, and then staying there is another. Okay. So let me go back to something I had written here because I wanted to remember to share these points with you. So what we practice is this interaction with self. Okay. Have you ever said, a part of me knows better, but there's a part of me that continues to eat like this, doesn't get up and go for a walk. There's a part of me that knows better. I know better, but there's a part of me that just gets in my way. Well, I want you to think of it like this, okay? Because without this change, we're doomed. We're already at a deficit. We're already limited. Imagine that phrase, the inmates are running the prison. Not a good sight. Well, we are everything we've ever been. There are experiences that your mind can refer to that you're not even aware of. A time when you were any age, any day, any event, any experience. Okay? When the person in front of me says, I know better. Say it's a weight loss client I've worked with. Do you know that you should just eat food from the earth? Nothing crazy, just real, natural food. Real food, which means it was once alive. Yeah, okay. And that you should move your body. Exercise means put into action. Go play. Play tag. Ride a bike. Fly a kite. But put your body in action? Yep. Then go do it. Well, I know what to do. I don't know why I can't. The why is emotionally driven and it's connected to something that was. So what I get people to start doing, and this is another tip for you, you are the parent. You say, no, you can't have that. Time to go to bed. Get up and go for a walk. You're the one that manages all the parts because up until now, all the parts have been managing you. Think about that for a second, a moment, a few seconds. I'm fine. I know what to do. I've learned enough. I've had enough experiences. But Keep doing what I used to do. So that means a younger version of you, something you've experienced in the past, is what's saying what's going to happen. But you see, when we get in here, we get behind our eyelids, which is your home. That's where you live. You'll never leave there. And we apply these techniques using visualization, using truth and honesty, creating more awareness. When we remove judgment of self and we create support and assessment. So it isn't looking back on what you've done, like right now, and saying, boy, I sucked at that. No, see, I could have done it a better way. So, okay, fine, good. It's assessment in order to now take a different approach and move forward in a whole better way. But when you judge yourself, you're going to get resistance and you're going to be stuck. So judgment is more of the shackle. Judgment is more of the kidnapper holding you hostage, and you're applying it to yourself. So think of this contradiction. You're looking to improve, you're looking to achieve, you're looking to accomplish, you're looking to move forward, but yet you're not supporting and cheerleading yourself. You're saying things like, that's probably not going to work. Yeah, I'm not good enough. I don't deserve it. All of those are parts that we address and change, shift, and adjust when we do master visionary coaching. Because until you realize who you really are, the value of who you are, what you have inside you've yet to even access, and then you start learning how and you start applying it, you will see life change quicker and easier than you ever imagined. That's the other part. We're conditioned that the force and the struggle is a slower process, but you will be amazed at what starts to happen when you get out of the way, when you trust and allow. So I had said in there, if you're reading between the lines, one of the parts that need to be addressed, one of those pieces to create this puzzle, this new look, is truth and honesty. If we're in denial, how are we ever going to break free? So you could be saying, let's use this metaphor of being a hostage. No. They feed me. I have a nice room. I have a great view. But you're chained to the radiator. So that's rationalizing and justifying your position and your situation. And that rationalizing and justifying is the recipe for denial. But when you become truthful and honest, that's when stuff starts to break free. That's when you start to move forward. Srini, thank you. Srini Sarapalli, fantastic guy. You want to talk about somebody who knows the inner engineering, who came up to me last year in Vegas at a conference and thanked me for something I had done along the way because it sparked some thoughts in his mind. In 1 year, a lot of money and a lot of trial and error, but his last part of his statement to me was, and I found the code, or however he said it. Srini, I forget the words you used, but it was, I broke the code, and he found the way. But if he had given up along the way and he didn't work with the tools and systems and processes here, he wouldn't have set himself free. And I mean free from here to here. An amazing breakthrough. And I love when I hear things like that, because all of us can have that experience. All of us can have so much more. But I mentioned this earlier, and I don't know if you picked up on it, one of those pieces of chain or links in the chain is you not feeling worthy or deserving. Why me? Ready? Why not you? Why not you? Why shouldn't you have $100 million? Why shouldn't you be able to have all the time you want and experience life the way you'd like? Why shouldn't you be happy and healthy? When you start to feel you're not worthy and deserving, I want you to imagine looking in the window, or the window, the glass partition at a maternity ward in a hospital. I'll do this with you. It's something I do with my clients. Picture this now. Time we have. Okay, we have time. Picture this now. You're at a maternity ward, you're looking at all the babies. There are two nurses. One is the wonderful, beautiful, kind, loving nurse. The other one is horrible, vicious, and mean. You get to choose which of those babies and how many of them are going to go with the horrible nurse and have a miserable life, and go with the wonderful nurse and have a fantastic life. Which ones do you send each way? Now, unless you're a freaking psychopath, you're probably saying they all deserve a great life. Okay. What's in the mirror is not who you are. It's this physical meat suit you're wearing that you've become. Who you are is that child, that baby. Who you are is that form of life that deserves and is worthy of anything and everything life can offer. But along the way, either as a person without any awareness and experience, you perceived yourself to be less than, or it's some bullshit that somebody told us. And that's all there is to it. Suggestions create outcomes. If the same person was in an environment where they're supported, they're elevated, they're given freedom and space to be who they are, or the same exact person is put in an environment where they're denigrated, they're limited, they're talked down to, they will have different outcomes. It doesn't mean one of them deserves and is worthy and the other one isn't. It just means that the external that they allowed themselves to be influenced by, which in the beginning you have no say over, is what created the problem. But imagine that it's nothing more than information and programs that have been downloaded onto a hard drive. I once said that I should be called a human IT guy. Because the IT guy comes, looks at your computer, and you go, oh my God, what are those windows? I've never seen this stuff. And he says, you should never see this stuff because you'll ruin it. You won't know what to do. Well, what I'm talking about, a lot of times people can't access this stuff because your mind keeps you out because you don't know what to do once you go in there. It might be overwhelming. But when you have the IT guy and he says, here's how you access the hard drive. Whoop, there's all your programs. Oh, and there's also the stuff interrupting the flow. There's the bugs, there's the viruses you downloaded. Viruses for the mind. Bugs that have interrupted the running platform, the running system. So when we're able to access the deep subconscious mind, that which is the hard drive that runs everything, and it doesn't think, just like a computer hard drive. It only functions on the information on it. Well, programs can be removed. Pieces of information can be adjusted. And new programs can be installed, but the beauty is you don't need anything new. When you were new, you had everything you need to know. So sometimes when we reconnect to what's already there, it can feel new, but it's what you always knew, especially when you were new. You're not confident to apply and attempt and put something out there? Well, as a child, you said, I can do that. And people said, no, honey, you're going to kill yourself. No, I can do that. What happened? When people had stuff and you wanted some, you said, can I have some? Now as an adult, you're like, nah, they won't give me any. I can't ask for that. What happened? What happened was the outside was allowed to come inside and get in the way. So reconnect to the master visionary you really are and you were born as, and be who you were meant to be, not what you thought along the way, or not some ridiculousness that somebody else said. And by the way, maybe like people say, no, my dad told me, and my dad is massively successful and he's a great guy. And yeah, okay, well, that was your dad's life. That was your dad's journey. Maybe that's not for you. Maybe you're not supposed to be a lawyer or a baker, or you're not supposed to take over the family business, or whatever the hell it is. Maybe you're supposed to be the best clown that can ride a unicycle and do flips. I don't know. But you won't know until you get into that place and sit with yourself in the proper way where this stuff can surface and you can reconnect to it all. So we're getting close to the end of the show, and I want to remind you, you want to change your life? You want to get involved in the Master Visionary 12-week program? I refer to it as from stress to success, which sounds kind of general, but the truth is we're stuck because we have an accumulation of a ton of energy. We can call it stress, pressure, tension. When we work with it and we remove it and we open up those doors to freedom, then we're able to create success. Now, success is defined in Merriam-Webster as favorable or desired outcomes. So I'm not talking about, oh, let's make 10, 20, 30, 50 grand a month. No. Let's release that 30, 50, 60 pounds. Let's start that little business and side hustle. Whatever it is that is a goal that you sense and feel, whatever it is that you want to achieve and accomplish is what success is to you, successful outcome. So email me at tomnicoli@gmail.com, and in the subject line, just put 50% off. However, please don't waste your time or mine. Serious people only who are really ready to make a change. Okay? Now, every 2 weeks, we have this live show. Some people watch it on another platform, but it's best to watch it on the website so you can interact. mastervisionary.com, and on the top, you see a link that says live. So to share this information with other people, this is all you need to tell them, that every other Tuesday, so in 2 weeks from today, at 12 o'clock noon, Eastern Standard Time, East Coast time, New York, Boston time, you come on in. Now, today, my guest was me. I didn't interview me, but my guest was me. But you'll see replays as well. You can go and check the replays. You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you for being here. I'm just replying to a message. You can check the replays of shows I've done with some fantastic guests who will share with you some of the things that they've been up against and how they've released themselves from being shackled and held hostage in order to create some outcomes and freedom in their lives. So you can watch the replays, you can come in and attend the live shows, and you can also contact me and we can get together on a call to find out we're a good fit. If we are, how we go about getting you from where you are to where you want to be in order to change your life in a way that the force and the struggle and the pressure and the tension almost always just doesn't do for you. And if it does, it's more in a limited way. So visualize it. You've heard the phrase act as if. They say dress for the job you want, because you'll start to change. It's like when you wear jeans and a t-shirt, you act a lot differently than if you wear a suit. Or, if you're in shorts and a halter top, it's a lot different than when you put on something to go out to an event, a nice dress or some pantsuit or something. But act as if starts here, okay? And when done with the 6 vital keys, you'd be shocked at how all of a sudden things start to open up, things start to change, things start to shift and adjust. So thank you for being here. I appreciate you. And I appreciate more those of you who take action and then share with me what you've done. And again, special offer that ends now. It ends here on this show. Email tomnicoli@gmail.com, 50% off in the subject. And then I'll get a hold of you and we'll discuss your situation. But in the meantime, reconnect to the Master Visionary within. And I'll see you in 2 weeks, noon Eastern time.
Thank you for watching the Master Visionary Show. Join us every other Tuesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to remove the blocks that are keeping you from living a healthy, wealthy, and happy life.